Where are all the good men? That's what I said almost every single time I went out to a social gathering. They were always full of people like me. Single women over 40, most of us divorced with kids, who just couldn't seem to find a good man who wanted a long-term committed relationship. Where did all the good guys go? All the ones I've met are either gay, taken, or only interested in sex. So I ask you, what happened to the whole natural process of meeting someone and falling in love? And where are all the good men who actually want relationships? Have you ever asked yourself those same questions? Well, if you're anything like me, you're frustrated with how confusing, awkward, and downright discouraging dating can be. You're looking for answers, just like I was before I met the woman who changed my life and my luck with men forever. Hi, I'm Michelle Geller, and if you resonated with anything I just said, if you're tired of starting over again and again with dating, if you're tired of winding up in short-term relationships with uninteresting and uninspiring men, relationships that never lead anywhere, if you're tired of men disappearing after you start having sex, if you're tired of opening your heart only to be disappointed in love again and again, then you're gonna love what I have to share with you today, and here's why. I've discovered a secret that not only attracts an amazing, high-quality man to you like a magnet, it also inspires him to be completely devoted to you, to the point where he can't stop thinking about you and wants to make you his forever and ever. The way it used to be, the way it should be. How do I know it works? Because I used to have the worst luck imaginable when it came to men. I got married to my sweetheart when I was only 25. The first 5 years were blissful. We were in love, we had a house, and we started a beautiful family with 2 daughters. After 5 years had passed, we started fighting a lot. Over the kids, over money, over everything. Over time, we just drifted apart while living under the same roof. I tried to hang in there for the sake of the kids, and I did for another decade. But after 10 years of being in a relationship that died long ago, I finally cut the cord and got a divorce. Now I was a 40-year-old single mom raising 2 teenage daughters basically by myself. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I just assumed that another guy would come along and I'd start fresh. Well, I think you already know where this story is going. You see, dating is a little different at 40 than it was in my early 20s. First of all, when I wasn't busy running around with the kids and I got to go out and socialize, what I saw scared me. To put it mildly, the dating scene had changed. Everywhere I went, it was full of middle-aged women and a handful of guys, none of them desirable. I still get shivers when I think about that guy who followed me at a party all night long. He was wearing a tucked-in holiday sweater, old beat-up sneakers that I could smell from across the room. Is this what was left in the dating pool? If so, count me out. It sounds almost comedic, but this kind of thing went on for years. I'd go out to social gatherings, and it was always the same thing. Lots of nice, interesting women, and a handful of leftover from the male dating pool. I even tried online dating, and that was even worse. The only guys who were writing me were either 15 to 20 years older than me, or 19 years old with a fantasy about dating a cougar. And then suddenly, things changed. I was at a friend's party, and I met this great guy named Chris. For the first time in years, I was chatting with someone I actually liked. He was 46, attractive, desirable, had a stable job, and he was just sincerely looking for a stable relationship with a great woman. I remember thinking at the time that this was too good to be true. There had to be something wrong with this guy if he's still single. But I was willing to give it a shot. We started dating, and things were going amazingly well. For the first time in years, I started to believe in love again. After a few weeks of this, I finally went for it, and we had sex for the first time. It was amazing, much better than it ever was with my husband. I thought I had it made. Then I got the text. I'll just go ahead and read it to you. He said, "Hey, Michelle, I have some bad news. Remember how we talked about how I was unsure about having a family someday? Well, I met someone I really like and who wants kids. It feels like this might be my last shot, so I have to take it. Forgive me. He didn't even have the decency to say it in person. So there I was, disappointed, heartbroken, and to make matters worse, I found out from a mutual friend that the woman he dumped me for was 10 years younger than me. Great, so now it's back to being the boring, unattractive guys that I could never settle for. My friend Rachel tried cheering me up by taking me to one of those singles dances she'd heard about. We showed up about halfway through, and what I saw sent a chill down my spine. Let me break it down for you. There were about 100 people there. Most of them were well over 50. 80 of them were women and only 20 were men. And they were not the kind of guys you'd ever dream of dating. It was a bunch of grandpas having their pick of these lonely women with no other options but them. Some of them were literally using walkers to get around the room. If I thought it was hard to date at 45, seeing what my future held for me at 55 or 60 scared me to a point where I quickly left the building, went home and cried all night. And that's when it started to sink in. If I don't do something about this, I am going to end up alone for the rest of my life. Or even worse, I'm going to end up like those women at the singles dance, competing for the attention of the few remaining men, none of them desirable. I stopped going out. I decided to focus on my kids for a while, and to be honest, I started to sink into a hopeless depression. That's when I heard about her, the woman who changed my life forever. My friend Diane told me about a class being taught by this strange Russian woman who was supposed to be a master when it comes to attracting men at any age. Her name was Luba Evans, and she was offering a class unlike anything I had ever heard of before. She was promising to teach the secrets that are passed down from generation to generation of Russian women. Secrets that, according to her, are deliberately kept from American women by the media. Secrets that make a man completely and hopelessly devoted to you for the rest of your life. At this point, nothing to lose, so I decided to go. Right away, I could tell something was different about this woman, Luba. First of all, most Russian women I've met are so stunningly beautiful that they could get any guy they wanted. Most of them look something like this, or this, or this. But Luba looked like this. And yet, even at the age of 44, she had absolutely no difficulty attracting men whatsoever. At this point, she'd been in a loving relationship for years and practically had a waiting list of men who told her that if she ever became single again, they wanted to be with her. Why? What did she have that I didn't? It clearly wasn't looks, and she wasn't making a lot of money, so what was it? And what was wrong with me? I mean, I'm not some skinny anorexic supermodel who starves herself, but I look okay for 45. And yet, whenever I got out to have fun and meet people, I end up having to compete with all the other women in the room for a man's attention. I don't want to have to compete against other women. That feels icky and unnatural. It made me miss being in my early 20s again, before I got married. I miss the days when men came up to me and pursued me for a relationship. Now I feel like I have to be the one who does everything. I'm the one who has to try and convince the guy to stay with me, which makes me feel cheap and unattractive. Something needed to change. When the class started, Luba asked what made us want to come that night, so I quickly raised my hand and explained the depressing reality of my love life. Her answer surprised me. She explained that I was going about this all wrong. She said the reason this keeps happening is because I had been lied to about what works with men. She explained it like this. Do you remember how it was when you were in your early 20s and there were always men interested in pursuing you? Well, that's how it is for men after they turn 40. A high-quality man who is over 40 and still single basically has unlimited options when it comes to women. It's basic supply and demand. In case you haven't noticed, the supply of great men is getting smaller and smaller every year as you get older. The older a man gets, the more choices he has available to him. The only way you'll stand out as the obvious best choice for him is if you activate the devotion circuits in his brain. Devotion circuits in his brain? Now I was curious. She continued, "This is something almost every Russian woman is taught from an early age, so it's completely natural for us. We know that men naturally want to be with a lot of women, but every smart Russian woman knows that there is a secret part of his brain that is capable of locking onto one woman and making him stay with her for life. It's like entering a combination to a lock. You can try really hard to open that lock, but if you keep entering the wrong combination, it'll never open for you. A man's devotion circuits are a lot like that lock, and unfortunately, American women have been taught the wrong combination, which is why so many of them struggle to find a man who will commit to them. Devotion circuits? Combination locks? This was all new information for me, and I was so fascinated by what she said that I stayed after class and chatted with her. That one conversation turned into 2 weeks of private coaching with Luba. I wanted to know everything about these devotion circuits and these secret combinations, and I wanted to know why I had never heard of any of this before. As it turns out, Luba explained why American women are kept from learning this information. I'll explain more about that in a minute. First, you need to know about the amazing thing that happened once I was armed with all this new information. After doing some private coaching with Luba, I went out to a friend's party to test out these new ideas. They seemed simple enough. The first thing I noticed was that guys started approaching me more often. Just 2 weeks ago, I felt like I was completely invisible to the opposite sex. Now, suddenly things are different. That's because of what Luba taught me about how to present myself when I go out. I didn't realize that just a few tiny changes in what I was wearing would make such a huge difference. I mean, I still looked like my old self, but the results were like night and day. My first night out, I got approached by 5 men, and 3 of them asked me out on a date. Me, the slightly overweight soccer mom with 2 teenage daughters. Me, the woman who had pretty much given up on love after my divorce. Me, the woman who was basically invisible to men at every social gathering I went to. Now suddenly, I get asked out 3 times in one night? Oh, and that was just the start of it. I went out with all 3 of those guys, Tom, Robert, and Anthony. All 3 of them wanted a second date, and a third date, and a fourth date. What was going on here? In the past, I was the one who always had to call or text the guy, because if I didn't, he'd just disappear. Now suddenly, at 45, I'm experiencing what it feels like to be pursued again. I felt so good about myself. In the end, I finally had to tell Tom and Robert that I had decided on a relationship with Anthony. They seemed disappointed, and both of them told me to call them if things didn't work out with Anthony. Ha! I, Michelle Gellar, have a waiting list of men who want to date me. And it's all thanks to what I learned from working with Luba. As it turns out, she was right. Women are taught the wrong things when it comes to what actually works with men. As it turns out, activating a man's devotion circuits is much easier than I ever expected, and certainly a lot easier than all the hard work I was doing before. In fact, the less I tried, the more Anthony wanted me. This felt so much more natural, so much more authentic, and I've actually been enjoying myself a lot more in this relationship. For the first time since my 20s, the future looks bright. We've been together for almost a year now, and I've never been happier. For the first time in a long time, I get to enjoy having a man who looks at me like he wants to devour me, and I love it so much. I feel so blessed about knowing that I have a real partner again, someone that makes me excited about my own future with him, someone I'm looking forward to having fun experiences with. Even after a year, I notice that even the way I walk is different. There's more life in my body, and my friends tell me there's more spring in my step when I walk. More importantly, I now know that I was working way too hard before to attract a man, and even harder to try and keep a man after we had sex. Not anymore. Things are so easy and natural now, the way it's supposed to be, and it's all thanks to what I learned from Luba. That's why I created this presentation for you, my dear woman who's watching this with me right now. I don't know how you found this page, but I'm glad you did, because you're about to get the same chance I did to learn Luba's secrets for attracting and keeping a high-quality man who is totally devoted to you and only you. And I have more good news. You won't have to spend 2 weeks and thousands of dollars like I did to work with her directly. Because my own luck with the opposite sex has changed so much, thanks to what I learned from Luba, I decided to help her bring her teachings to the world so women everywhere can finally learn what works with men. This is the stuff nobody has taught you before. It's usually passed down from mother to daughter in Russia, and it's never been made available publicly until right now. I'm proud to be the first one to tell you about Luba's new video training program called The Law of Devotion. When I first heard the name, I thought it was something like the Law of Attraction, but it's not. The Law of Devotion is a proven method for activating a man's devotion circuits, and you do it in a way that is totally natural, not manipulative at all, and doesn't make you follow any of those stupid rules you may have heard about. Luba's techniques work with the way a man's brain is designed. Her techniques are totally effortless once you know how to do them. It's just that you've never been taught. In fact, it's even worse. Luba showed me so many examples of the way that we've been taught all the wrong things when it comes to dealing with men. Things that go completely against the way his brain is wired. Once she opened my eyes, I saw clearly for the first time in my life that if I kept doing what I was doing, I would never, ever inspire a man to become devoted to me. Why? Because I wasn't activating those devotion circuits in his brain. In fact, I was doing the opposite. Even though I thought I was just being myself and doing everything right, it turns out I was unintentionally blocking him from becoming devoted to me. This was especially true when it came to sex. When Luba showed me what I was doing to make men disappear after sex, I was shocked. And she was right. Once I stopped, I never had that problem again. In fact, Anthony called me more after we began having sex. How's that for a change? Okay, so let me tell you about Luba's program, The Law of Devotion. This radically simple program works even if you've been divorced and you feel like you could never get back out there. You have very little experience with men, and you're not really sure how to get started. You don't look like one of those anorexic supermodels. You won't have to. Nothing else you've tried has worked in the past. Or, even if you think you've tried everything. The program is broken up into bite-sized videos that are easy to follow along with. You get instant access to everything, and you can learn at your own pace. Here's a sample of what you'll learn in this exclusive video training program. The biggest secret to touching his heart and making him drop his guard instantly. It's a lot easier than you think once you know how it's done. A little-known mind virus that actually prevents him from committing to you. I'll show you exactly what it is and how to fix this little mental virus in 30 seconds so you can experience more happiness and fulfillment with your man, and so he'll begin thinking about committing to you right away. The single biggest mistake women make when communicating with their man that instantly makes him want to avoid her. If he's become cold and distant, it's most likely because of this. 7 examples of typical things women over 35 do in relationships that make men run in the opposite direction. The number 1 criteria men use to decide if you're long-term relationship material or just good for short-term sex. Hint, it's not at all what you think and has nothing to do with sex. Most women around the world were taught the exact opposite of what really works. I'll show you what to do instead. The one emotion men feel that actually drives them away almost instantly. Be very careful to avoid ever making him feel this way, or he'll lose his inspiration for taking care of you and devoting himself to you. Do you find yourself giving too much in relationships and never receiving? It could be because you are giving him the wrong things. Learn the one thing you must give him that actually compels him to want to give you way more in return. 3 examples of flirty things you could say to him that spark attraction and make him come and get you. Plus, I'll show you how to be more flirtatious in general, which will amplify his attraction for you through the roof. The one thing you must give your man in order for him to let down his guard and fall in love with you. And guess what? Almost no woman in his life has given him this. So if you do, you'll stand out above all others in his mind. How to become the most fulfilling girlfriend he has ever had. I'll show you the 10 magic spices to sprinkle into your relationship without him knowing that drive him crazy, make him think about you all the time, and inspire him to eagerly commit to you without you even asking. My one weird trick that triggers him into hot pursuit. If you've been craving a man who early pursues, courts, and tries to win you over, then use this trick and let the fun begin. 3 questions that instantly reveal the weak spots in your relationship and how to fix them without him even realizing it. He'll just notice that he feels closer to you than ever before, but won't know why. Don't tell him your secret. The number one thing women have been taught to do that actually prevents men from becoming devoted and committed to you. It's not your fault, but you must find out if you're doing this because it instantly repels men. And they'll never tell you, they'll just disappear. Word-for-word examples of what to say if he does something you don't like. I'll show you how to communicate it in a way that brings him closer to you and renews his commitment to you. How to turn your relationship into a magic garden that gives joy to the both of you for the rest of your lives. Women throughout history who have inspired epic levels of devotion in their men all have one ability in common. I'll show you what that one ability is and how to develop it in yourself. When you do this, you will become irresistible to the man in your life. I'll show you how to create an invisible tractor beam that inspires him to come toward you and claim you. This is something all Russian women know, and I'll reveal it to you here and show you how to ignite his passionate pursuit of you. Is there a big distance between you and your man after a disagreement? It might be because you were making one big mistake while arguing. Let me show you how Russian women disagree with their men in a way that softens him up and brings him closer and more in love with her. This one thing alone could save your relationship. My 7 proven heart melters that you could whisper to him anytime that instantly soften his heart and make him feel more connected to you. You'll learn all that in the Law of Devotion video training program and much more. Are you ready to start enjoying the benefits of having a man that is totally and completely yours forever? Are you ready to enjoy his full attention given to you and only you? Are you ready to say goodbye to the frustration and confusion that comes with regular dating and relationships and skip straight to the kind of committed, loving communion you've been longing for? Great! Let's talk about how you can start learning how to attract a man who is totally devoted to you, or make the one you have now become devoted to you. At this point, you might be wondering what the investment for the program is. And the truth is, it's a lot less than you'd expect. Think about how much precious time and money gets wasted trying to become the best and most attractive versions of ourselves. The thousands of dollars spent on pretty outfits, the makeup, the spa treatments, the hair, and yet none of those things get you any closer to having a man who is fully committed and devoted to you. Up until now, the only way to learn this material from Luba was to attend one of her live retreats, which costs $997 each. And even at that price, it's still a bargain when you think about what you get out of it. $997 is only $2.73 per day for a year. What else do you spend $2.73 on every single day that makes no difference in your love life whatsoever? Or you can do what I did and pay her $2,000 for 2 weeks of private phone coaching every day. And as much as I enjoyed that, I can tell you it's not necessary. All the information she shared with me is included in the Law of Devotion program, and we're bringing it to you at a much more affordable price. You see, I remember the pain I was going through when I couldn't find and keep a great man. I remember how it felt to go to social gatherings and meetups and feel discouraged by what I saw there. I remember what it was like to sit at home alone and ask myself, where are all the good men? Secretly worrying that I'd never find one again. I remember how painful that all was, and that's why I decided to bring Luba's work to the world for a more affordable price. Because of that, you won't be paying the same $2,000 I did for private coaching. You won't pay the $997 most people pay for her retreats in New York. You won't pay $500, which is half of what her students pay when they come to a live training. In fact, you won't even be paying $100, which would be an unbelievable bargain. Heck, I've spent that much just on one night out with the girls. Because you've watched this far in the presentation, when you order right now, you'll get the entire Law of Devotion training course for only one payment of $47. Think about it. That's 13 cents a day for a year in order to learn these secrets from across the world that make any man devoted to you. $47 will barely buy you a nice dinner out on the town, and yet now it'll buy you an education that'll give you a lifetime of confidence, love, and security with the man of your choice. It could be someone you meet at a party tonight. It could be a friend you've had your eye on for a while, but didn't know how to inspire him to pursue you. Or it could be that guy you've been seeing for a while who just couldn't commit. And just wait till you see how fast he changes his tune when you activate his devotion circuits. No matter who you choose, now you're the one who is finally going to be in control of your love life. No more waiting around for men who can't or won't step up and take the lead. Now you're going to be the one on his mind. You're going to be the one he pursues to the ends of the earth, the way it should be. Now I realize that you might be asking yourself if I can be sure this will work for you. Yes, I am sure, and here's why. Luba discovered these techniques and ideas in a very difficult environment for women. She explained that she knows women in Russia who are in their early 30s and absolutely gorgeous, and they can't find one steady boyfriend. It's one of the harshest and most competitive environments on earth for women in terms of relationships. And yet, despite not being classically beautiful like so many Russian women, Luba was easily able to attract, catch, and keep men who were in high demand. She met her American husband while he was traveling in Russia, and it wasn't long before he proposed to her. He said he had never met any other woman in his life who made him feel the way she did. After moving to America and spending years with that man, Luba felt she was destined for greater things. She moved on from that relationship. At first she was worried because she remembered how competitive Russia was, but as it turned out, she had an unbelievable advantage over most other women because of the techniques she had learned growing up. She was shocked at how easy it was to attract and keep a high-quality man in America. Why was it so easy? Because despite not having any advantages with her looks, she knows how to light a man up from the inside and activate his devotion circuits. When you know how to do that, you won't ever have to worry about competition. Other women were never taught how to make a man feel this good in a relationship. You will be one of the rare women who knows how, and that means you'll always have someone special in your life, and you'll always have a man who will bend over backwards and do anything for you. It doesn't matter if you think you have any disadvantages compared to other women. What matters most is how the man's brain makes him feel when he's around you. That's what Luba's going to teach you all about in the Law of Devotion. Also, just to make sure you feel totally safe investing in this program, we're taking all the risk off your shoulders and offering our unconditional 60-day money-back guarantee. Luba's guarantee is simple. Try the program out for a full 60 days. If you don't notice more men approaching you and wanting to get to know you, or if you don't notice more men asking you out and insisting on seeing you again, or if the man you're currently seeing doesn't become more devoted to you and wanting to be your one and only, you can send it back for a no-hassle refund. And that means you'll have seen the whole program for free. That's how confident we are that you're going to love this. Luba and I are taking all the risk off your shoulders and putting it on mine. We want to treat you the way we wish other businesses treated us. Go ahead and click the orange Add to Cart button below, and let's get you started on the path to an amazing, fulfilling, passionate, and devoted relationship with the man of your choice. There's no risk whatsoever. Either this program delivers everything I promised you and more, or you can get a quick, no-hassle refund. You have nothing to lose and a lifetime of fun, romantic, and devoted love to gain. This is your chance to finally start enjoying being pursued again, not just by any man, but by a great man, the kind of man you really want and know you deserve. Go ahead and click the orange Add to Cart button below, and we'll see you in the members area where you get instant access to everything, even if it's 3 in the morning. I'm Michelle Geller. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to hear how your life changes too after going through Luba's program, The Law of Devotion. You're still here? That must mean you have some questions you need answered before you can decide to invest in this program. Hey, I don't blame you. I didn't believe it first either. But Luba's techniques have changed my life and given me the one thing I never thought I'd have again. A love life that I'm excited about and that lights me up inside every day. Here are the most common questions Luba gets from people. Are you going to tell me that I have to go back to become some 1950s housewife in order to get a man? Absolutely not. Luba is a very strong woman, a visionary leader, a successful entrepreneur, a workshop leader for men and women all over the world, an author, and an amazingly strong woman. There's no way she could be any of those things if she was just some submissive housewife. That's not what she teaches, and she'd never want you to become that anyway. What she will teach you is a way of communicating with men that truly works. It's based on making a man feel wonderful about himself when he's with you. And that means he'll feel wonderful about you too. It's sad, but most of what is taught to modern women has to do with taking a man down a peg or making him feel inadequate. As if that's necessary for a woman to be in her power. As a successful woman myself, I can tell you, it's not necessary. Most American television shows feature beautiful, brilliant women who always have the answer. And the men in those shows? They're usually bumbling dads who can't get anything right. Little girls grow up seeing these messages, and those thoughts and words wedge themselves into their minds. The main message women in America are taught? Men are supposed to be made fun of and put down so women can feel powerful and smart. There's just one problem. It doesn't work. Not in the workplace, and certainly not in relationships. This is shown today by the tens of thousands of women who pour into workshops on how to attract and keep a great man. Nothing they're doing is working, and there's a good reason for that. It's because the only way to inspire a high-quality man to become devoted to you is to see him deeply for who he is as a man. To shine your warm light of femininity on the best parts of him, and to let him know that you see him, really see him for the great man he is. When you do that, you'd better be prepared for the floodgates to open, sister, because you'll be one of the only women in your neighborhood who knows how. And you will never again have to worry about attracting and keeping a great man, because they'll be pursuing you, the way it should be. Another question Luba gets is, what if I'm too old, too fat, too poor, divorced, unemployed right now, etc.? Listen, none of these things matter, and here's why. When a man becomes devoted to you, it's because of how he feels about himself and his future when he's with you. Your looks, age, or income don't influence that as much as you'd think. The law of devotion isn't about improving the surface-level things. It's about becoming the woman who stands head and shoulders above all the others because you make him feel something he can't feel with anyone else.